Abe and Esther Goldberg were flying to Australia for a 2-week vacation to celebrate their 40th anniversary. Suddenly, over the PA system, the captain announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I have some bad news. Our engines have ceased functioning, and we are going to attempt an emergency landing." Luckily, I see an uncharted island below us. We should be able to land there, but chances are they'll never find us. Thanks God to the skill of the crew, the plane lands safely on the island. An hour later, Abe turns to his wife and says, "Esther, did we pay our American Cross pledge yet?" "No, sweetheart," she responds. Abe, now shaken from the crash landing, scared he could be stranded there forever, asks Esther, "Did we pay our Federation pledge?" "Oh, no, I'm sorry, I forgot to send that check." Abe grabs her and gives her the biggest kiss and hug ever in their 40-year history. Esther pulls away and asks him, "So why did you kiss me?" He says, "They'll find us." Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the privilege of being the 2012-2013 campaign chair. I am honored and humbled to address you. Many of you have been attending donor events for many years, for decades. Your devotion to leadership, your time to continue to make Toledo the best it can be is phenomenal, and I thank you. It has served as an inspiration to me and my generation. I also want to thank my wife and children for giving me the time to work on this campaign. I, like President Obama, am a very lucky man. And yes, Joey, Benny, Sammy, and Sophie will be going to school tomorrow. This evening we are brought together under the banner of Federation, community, Israel, and the Jewish people, no matter where they choose to call home. In 1 week we will attend our synagogues, usher in the new year of 5773. Rosh Hashanah marks the beginning of the holiest time of the Jewish calendar. All of us will hear the same Torah portion. We will all hear the same piercing, ancient staccato notes of the shofar. We will all participate in reciting and singing the same prayers that petition God to inscribe us and our families in the book of life. Different melodies or not, they stir the very depths of our souls as we offer our quiet, most inner heartfelt prayers. However, it goes beyond our own congregation and communities. Whether our service is in Hebrew, French, Russian, English, it transcends time and space. We are one people. We are one extended family without borders who share a collective history and common destiny. This past July, I, along with Wendy Goldstein, everyone could give her a round of applause. She is the campaign chairperson, campaign director. We went with 100 other campaign chair people and directors on the 2013 chairperson's mission to Odessa, Ukraine, and Israel. When researching Odessa, I did what I do. I put up on Facebook, "Has anyone ever been to Odessa?" My cousin sends me a note and says, "I have been to Odessa, and your grandmother, Sarah Milstein, came to the U.S. from Odessa." Talking about walking in your ancestors' footsteps and walking in your ancestors' footsteps are two completely different things. When walking the streets of Odessa and one night running the streets of Odessa for exercise, no, I wasn't being chased. An overwhelming feeling came over me that I had a hard time understanding. Odessa, prior to the pogroms and the Holocaust, was the second largest Jewish community in Eastern Europe. Odessa was a large center of Jewish higher learning, Jewish culture, Jewish poets and writers, and active proponents of Zionism. Odessa, still a beautiful city, yet a very different city today. A visit to Odessa provides a window into the unique work of our agencies and partners abroad. In addition to providing critical humanitarian services to thousands of destitute, elderly Jews and impoverished children, our campaign dollars are helping to revive and empower communities across the former Soviet Union. Why are the Jews in Odessa or anywhere in the world, or even in Toledo, so important to us? Here's the answer. The answer is a story. As part of our time in Odessa, we went in small groups to meet families. Wendy and I went to the apartment house of the Abrovsky family. It was an old, dark, damp cement building. The hallways smelled like cat urine. They offered for us to use the elevator. We gracefully declined. We didn't want to be there for 2 weeks. We met with Dina, 38, and her son and her 10-year-old son, Ilya. With huge welcoming smiles and obvious excitement, they invited us in. A small 2-bedroom apartment, also in need of repairs, wallpaper peeling. Their hospitality, their pride, their gratitude immediately connected with us, only as family can. Ilya's father does not live with them or provide any financial assistance. In addition, Dina cares for her brother who is disabled. He was at the hospital during our visit. Dina's work is irregular, her income meager, she does not have much. The reason Jews in Odessa matter, and the reason I've not been able to stop thinking about Dina and Ilya since I have returned, selfishly, is not because my son Benny and her son Ilya are the same age. Not because they have only the bare essentials this school year, and not because their family will struggle through the Jewish holidays like many other families in her 10-story building. I have not been able to stop thinking about them because if my grandmother stayed, and by a miracle lived through the pogroms, and by another miracle lived through the Holocaust, they would have been me. And when you realize how quickly I could be you and you could be me, you see the face of God in one another. And that's when your life changes. My mother could have easily been Dina, but somehow, some way, 100 years ago, my grandmother's parents made a decision to leave. I hope it was because how smart they were, but I think it was just they were at the right place at the right time. Talking about your grandparents' footsteps and walking in their footsteps are very different. The Abrovsky family was no longer a photo in a JFNA brochure. They were us. They are Jews. They are our family, and we could be them. And this is why we care about Jews in Odessa, South Africa, Toulouse, France, Mumbai, and Toledo, Ohio. Thank God with our campaign dollars, assistance will be provided by the American Joint Distribution Committee to the Chesed, Odessa's Jewish Family Services. Thank God we can help Ilya with his school supplies and winter footwear. Thank God Ilya and boys and girls around the world and in Toledo will be able to attend Jewish activities and participate in Jewish community events, food banks, refugee services. When you see the face of God in one another, your life changes. After spending a couple more days in Odessa, we moved on to Israel. Arriving in Israel from the United States is one thing. However, arriving from the Ukraine is quite another. There is a thrill of landing in Israel no matter how many times. Leaving the Ukraine is like moving from darkness to light. In spite of wars and in spite of all that's been going on and ongoing threats, Israel is a prime example of making the impossible possible. Israel has emerged from a Jaffa orange exporter to a startup nation. Leaders in science, technology, and medicine. Just recently, 3 of Israel's universities, the Technion Hebrew University and the Weizmann Institute, were listed among the 100 best universities in the world. While in Israel, Wendy and I attended a Taglit Birthright mega event. Taglit Birthright is another example of how our campaign dollars can change the course of Jewish history and ensure the continuity of the Jewish people by strengthening Jewish identity, Jewish communities, in solidarity with Israel via a fun educational trip to Israel for Jewish young adults around the world. The mega birthright event held in Haifa had over 4,000 kids from around Israel that were from around the world. The thrill of hearing 4,000 young adults chant, "I'm Israel Chai," was incredible. How is this possible? You make it possible. Your campaign dollars are changing history. Once an impossible thought is happening every day. Another example of making the impossible possible, in addition to seeing many of the incredible projects our campaign dollars are funding. Wendy, it was her first trip to Israel. And on her first trip to Israel, she met the president, Shimon Peres. That is the impossible is possible. I have discussed and provided a glimpse of how your generous contributions affect the Jews abroad, and I want to focus how it affects the Jews of Toledo and why your gift is so vital. Paul Kosman, where's Paul Kosman? Paul Kosman and the Federation staff did a wonderful job of showcasing the vibrant programs of Toledo in the Jewish news. Let's give Paul a round of applause. As you read the Jewish news, the work we do in Toledo is amazing. Our preschool specializes in happy children. Our brand new Hillel House on the University of Toledo's campus is connecting Jewish students with tons of programs and weekly Shabbat dinners. Ellen Friedman's incredible Hebrew classes. And we meet the needs of our special children with our world-class friendship circle, where the volunteers gain more than they give. And we delight our seniors with trips, outings, and awesome programs. The reality is, Judaism in Toledo cannot occur by osmosis. If you visit larger Jewish communities, you might see the difference. Driving down the street of West Palm Beach, Florida, you notice the city's holiday decorations, our tinseled menorahs on lampposts. The public schools of Beechwood and Solon, Ohio are closed for the high holidays. The observant Jews of West Bloomfield can be seen walking to shul on Shabbos. You can palpate Judaism in these great cities without trying. If you are unaffiliated, non-observant Jew, you have a glimpse of your culture and what should be your faith by looking around. We are a small community. We do not have those luxuries, but we are alive and we are vibrant. The Toledo Jewish Federation provides Jewish aid, Jewish identity, and Jewish advocacy, and we need your help to continue doing it. Our 2013 campaign begins right now. You have the distinct privilege of fulfilling our Jewish obligation of making the world a better place and providing aid to people you will never know. We are the same blood. We take care of our own. I am one Jew asking another Jew to help a third Jew. This is our mission. This is why we are the chosen people, and we can make the impossible possible. Thank you. Good night, and Happy New Year.